Smells like
I
herbal.
love it.
It's gonna irritate me.
Oh, it's irritating me.
I hate like random beeping sounds, says the nurse.
Yeah.
I hate beeping.
Yeah. Should I
hate
try to
it.
get on the ladder again?
No, because I don't need you falling over the railing. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I will just have a small, tiny aneurysm every time it beeps. That is fine. That is acceptable.
I hope this doesn't ruin our recording. I'll be really, really pissed if I can't, like... Oh, boy, I tell you.
It's okay. Welcome back. We don't remember how to record podcasts, and there's going to be a fire alarm just going.
We remember, but, you know, to all the men out there who are married or live with a partner, if your partner asks you to do something because they have something big planned, like 4 days later, just do it. Okay.
I don't know if we have any men that listen to us.
I don't know. We may. But now that I got that rage out, welcome back.
Welcome back. I have a new mic.
You do have a new mic. Okay, the middle part is blue, or is that me, my eyeballs having a moment?
No, it's blue. You're not having a moment. Don't worry.
It's so pretty.
It has volume and gains, whatever that means.
That's amazing. I like it. So do you like the sound? Because I know you use it in some of your YouTube videos already and all that stuff. Do you like how it sounds?
I do, and I would like to try some of the others. So it has like the mono feature where I just talk into the front of it. It also has like it goes like right and left as well. So it's like more like half the mic. And then you can use it for two people where you talk on either side of the mic. Okay. And then I think there's just the whole mic doing like the whole room sounds. So it has a lot of different settings, which I didn't have on my other one. It was just a mono mic, like you just talked into the front of it.
Very nice. So, I like
and the fact
it.
That I didn't really have to pay for it was nice too. So,
well, isn't that the best part? That's what I'm saying. That's the best part.
I didn't know what I was really going to do with those weird points things we get at work, and this little marketplace we could use them in. And I was like, I need a mic.
That's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm happy for you. I love new equipment.
Me too. And I have a new boom coming for this little camera, so it doesn't have to sit on top of my laptop. So it'll be in its own little spot. We're getting profesh here.
I love
Slowly but surely.
I gotta say,
I'll get a new light.
I gotta say, and Caleb agrees because when he's doing his like little online classes, he likes to use the webcam, the one that you had us buy. What is it? The Razor. The Rio Razor. Mm-hmm. He loves it. I love it. That was definitely a game changer.
That was a good find. Razor Kaio.
Inexpensive. Yes, that's it. And inexpensive. So, for any of you future podcasters out there, we did do an episode about podcasting and the equipment that we're using, and we've got links to all the stuff in there. So we should update it and add the link to your mic in our show notes.
I'll find this mic. And I think that I don't even remember who makes this mic, so we'll have to link it because I don't remember. I'll find it again. But I think the key is to look at some of the more reasonably priced but like higher end gamer stuff, because gamers know what they're talking about. So if like a lot of gamers are using something, it's probably pretty darn good. So yeah. Well, I was looking the other day. We are back. I was looking the other day at this docking station so I can get dock my MacBook Pro in and get two screens up. And I was like, Alyssa, chillax for a bit.
Relax, mama, relax. Yeah.
So instead, I got a $25 boom for my camera.
I would like another boom arm for this mic, but the one I want is a little pricey, so I'm gonna hold off for a minute. But I want at some point I want to swap it out. I like this one, but I don't love it. and there's one that is more like agile that I would prefer to have. So it's on my wish list.
My next thing is after this is just a light, because you have lighting issues, I have lighting issues.
Yeah, so. I'm good on my lights. My softbox lights were the best thing that I bought in 2019. Like the best thing. It was inexpensive, but like those lights really saved the day.
Yeah.
Like seriously, yeah.
Anyway, that's not the point of this episode. Hi guys, welcome back. We're rambling already.
It's podcasting, and this is the podcast. Anything we talk about is relevant. You know why? Because it's our podcast, and we can talk about what we want to talk about. How about that?
Like new hair, hoodies. I like your new hair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm ready to get my braids back. She doesn't have a name. I never name my hair. Maybe I should. It seems like a good time when you do that, but
I feel like you should name her.
I should name her.
We'll think of something.
We'll figure it out. We'll call it maybe Smokey, because that seems fitting for today.
What's funny is on the Uncut, there's probably gonna be in the corner little steam puffs from my humidifier. So
I love it. It's nice and cozy.
It is cozy. I already apologized to everybody who has to watch the Uncut and listen to the beep.
Yeah. Sorry, folks. My smoke alarm, the battery is it's gone. It's gone.
It died.
And my man did not change it out like I asked him to 5 days ago. So blame him. Okay, moving on.
Get you a new man. Anyway, so what are you reading? What are you reading?
Yes, and welcome back. This is the start of season 2. Woo!
Yay! Oh yes, woo!
It's a big deal. First of all, let me just say
it is a big deal. I'm just muted because I've had I worked 2 days, so I'm tired.
It's fine. I had a terrible night's sleep. It's fine. But I just want to give ourselves a little pat on the back because we've done a year of podcasting. We release an episode every Monday. We have not missed a Monday, and I feel kind of proud of us.
I'm proud of us too. I think we had a little dream and we're doing it. Yes,
because I feel like we talked about doing a podcast maybe a whole year before we actually put it into play. And I love it. I'm having the best time, and I'm just so proud that we've been able to be consistent. So yay for us.
I mean, we really did it, and I can't believe we keep having things to talk about, because I really thought the big limiting factor was going to be at some point we'd run out of something to talk about.
Never. I mean, there's always something, and there's always another book.
Yep, and at least 2 people listen to us, so it's like and it's not us.
I mean, the numbers are looking, I think, pretty good for like a very new podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is not like it's a topic that's very like sexy. It's not a tech podcast. It's not a finance podcast. It's not a business. You know what I mean? We're just talking about books. So when you think about it like that,
we're just 2 old ladies talking about
literature.
I don't know if everything I read would be deemed literature. Considering I picked up a Loki smut book.
Oh. Okay, I guess we're going to get to that. So anyway, I just want to say I'm proud of us, and to everyone else, thank you for listening and showing support. Leave us a review if you listen to the podcast, and stick with us, because we're just going to continue to have a lot of fun. So welcome to season 2.
Welcome to season 2. What are you reading?
All right, so yesterday I started reading The Latinus by Mark Prinz. Let me tell you something. Lately, I've been reading books where the men are just like, okay, all of you all line up on the cliff and just let me just kick you off of it. I mean, these men are terrible. So this woman, she is in the final stages of, putting together her dissertation, getting ready to defend it. And her advisor has written her a letter of recommendation, or so she thought. She started getting a lot of rejection letters, basically from every university. And she just could not figure out why. And someone emailed her a copy of the recommendation letter that the advisor sent to these places. And it was really terrible. I mean, It was awful. Like, now wonder why
Dick.
she's not getting job offers anywhere except for the job offer that he gave her for the current university where she's currently studying and teaching. Okay. So come to find out, so she had a boyfriend. He died of cancer. He was married or whatever, but she cheated. So now they're no longer together. He's obsessed with her. So his grand plan is, if I can like ruin her chances of getting a job at another university and keep her here at this university with me, perhaps something between us can, begin to brew. So that's where I am. This is what I've just found out. This is where I left off. I'm starting part 4 when I get back into it. Not quite halfway through the book, but almost halfway through the book. And it's just like, it's a whole trip. Also, there's this one part where she's translating this book and she gets to, where's the term? Oh, okay. So she's translating this book and it's talking about salvage divers, urinators. And it's this whole scene where she's trying to figure out, like, yeah, the salvage divers. And so she's trying to figure out, like, is there like other meaning to it, or like what could this possibly mean, like how does it relate to this piece of the book? And then she's talking to another professor and they're just like going back and forth talking about these salvage. I was just so into it because I was like, is this how it is when you're translating a piece of work? You know what I mean? You're confirmed with other like, it just made me wonder, like, is this how it is? And I just kind of like gobbled that whole scene up. So it was a very academic scene and I loved it. But anyway, This is really good so far. Really good. It's pretty short. This is
when did that come out? I've never even heard of it.
This came out earlier this year and I was going to buy it, but you know me, I was like, oh, it's over $20. But the library had it, so I got it from there. And now I have a feeling that I'm going to love it and I'm going to need to own it. So, I'll be on the hunt for it to thrift it. But that's The Latinist by Mark Prinz.
Naomi and
May
Alyssa.
I say something else? Here's something else I'm realizing. Whenever I read a book by someone who went to that damn Iowa's Writers Workshop, I end up loving it.
Yes, the Iowa Writers Workshop is like huge. Like that is a big deal to be there, and almost all of those writers. It's like Steppenwolf Company. Like if you're in that, you're gonna do great things. Like you don't get there without being like immensely talented.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, no, that's me too. When I see that, I'm like, all right, this has potential to be amazing.
Exactly. Anyway, I think you'll like it, by the way. So just keep that on your radar.
The Latinist. Okay. What was I going to say to you? Naomi and Alyssa do not pay full price for books unless we really want to.
I mean, even
when I go to Barnes, even if I go to Barnes and Noble, I'm like, I will only buy it if I can get a discount on it. Yeah. I don't ever go, like, if it says $19, I'm never giving you $19. That's not happening.
It's hard. I mean, I would say my brand new book buying is maybe 8% of my entire book shopping, habit. I just, But
weirdly, it probably takes up a large percentage of the actual money spent, though, which is weird. Not the number of books, like the actual dollars. Yeah. It's going to take up a bigger percentage, which is just crazy, because obviously it's more expensive, but
right.
It just outlines how little you get for all of that money.
Well, that's why it's so hard to do it. When I do my comparison, like if I can go to McKay and spend $48 and come out with like 50 books versus going to Barnes and Noble or Books A Million or whatever, and I can get 2 books?
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's a funny argument because you want to buy books new to support the authors because they actually get a cut of that revenue, but then you also read a lot, so you can't afford to buy new books all the time because it's just too expensive. Right. It's just too expensive. But going to your library helps. I mean, you go and you get stuff from your library all the time.
Absolutely.
I get audiobooks from my library all the time. All of those things help bring money to the authors. So, I mean, exactly. But it's an expensive habit.
It is.
Reading is an expensive habit.
Please hold.
So
we can do it. We can do it. Are we
You
being
know what's going to be
tested?
interesting? It's the uncut stuff, because it's just going to be like, beep, nope, retake, beep, retake.
Wow, are we being tested by the podcasting gods? Is that what's happening right now?
I don't know. Or maybe Verizon just doesn't like queer fantasy, and they didn't want me to tell you about this wonderful book.
Uh-oh. Talk about a segue.
Anyway, as I was trying to tell you guys, I'm in the middle of reading A Strange and Stubborn Endurance by Foz Meadows, which I know that I've talked about at least once on the podcast before, and I've been talking about it on my channel a lot because I've been reading it, and it is so good. So first, thank you to Tor for sending me this beautiful arc. I'm mad that I didn't, when they asked if I wanted a finished copy, that I didn't say yes, because now I'm regretting it.
Why would you not say yes?
I don't know. I think I was at work and I was distracted. I was distracted. And if you're watching this, someone from Tor, I still would love a finished copy.
You're crazy. You're crazy.
I know, I'm a crazy girl. I know. The TikTok sounds will never end.
Never.
Anyway, so this is okay. So it's like a high fantasy in terms of the detail of the plot and the world building and everything. Like, this is a meticulously written book. If you don't like completely down to like what's on the table in a room, fleshed out worlds in fantasy, and you prefer more like plot, sparse, just drive yourself propulsively through the story, maybe it's not for you. But if you like all the details and you like complex political systems and you like sort of slow burn romance and you like queer fantasy and yeah, read this, please. So you have Kay, and I always get his name wrong, Velison. And Velison has something happen to him on the page. There's a lot of trigger warnings. They're right in the front of the book. Look them up. Has something happen to him in his home kingdom when Velison likes men, but he comes from a place where that isn't really acceptable in any way. So he's repressed that quite a bit. But he's supposed to be married off to a woman. Some stuff happens. He ends up being married off to a man in a neighboring like kingdom. And this kingdom is a lot more progressive, and there's gender is more fluid, sexuality is more fluid. It's a really like lovely, eye-opening place for Velison to go there. But Velison's also dealing with some trauma that occurs from this thing that happens on the page. So he's very broken. Kay is the man he's betrothed to. Kay is like this absolutely wonderful human being. He's very like strong and supportive and understanding and intelligent and like perfect and gentle and kind, and just what Velison really needs in a partner. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's happening politically that gives you all the tension for the story. It's not just watching this couple slowly learn to love each other and watching Velison come to terms with all of his trauma or learn to deal with what has happened to him. There's also this whole political intrigue that's happening alongside of it. So it's really, really interesting. It's very, very meticulous. Like, there's a lot of stuff in it. I don't find it tedious, but I know that some people don't want to know literally everything. Like,
right.
That's happening in the story down to hand gestures. And there's like some disability rep too, because Velison's valet is mute. And so they do sign language, and he has to like teach people sign language, like their version of sign language, so that his valet can be like understood.
Question.
And it's
how does that come across in the reading when you're reading that part?
Oh, they say like he signs to him this and he signs to him that.
Okay.
Sort of thing. And there's all kinds of stuff with like language and things, because they have different languages. And where he's from, where Velison's from is like this very closed-minded place. And it's rare for somebody to really like speak any other languages or to adopt any other cultures or anything like that. So he's he's somebody who has done all these things. He's very interested in language and in other places and other stuff. So he's like not meant to be in this other where he's from. He is sort of meant to be where he is now. So it's really good. I'm really loving it. I think that's fantastic. I believe it's a standalone. I could be wrong because I haven't gotten to the end of it, but it's really good.
That was going to be my next question. Was it series or standalone?
I believe it's a standalone. It's rating like a standalone. I can't see anything that says it's a series, but you know, sometimes people surprise you. But I absolutely love it. I want to see what else. I feel like Foz Meadows wrote some other things, so I'd like to see what else they wrote. But like, it's so good, and I'm kicking myself for not agreeing to a finished copy since it was offered to me. Yeah, but I guess that just means I'm gonna have to go get one. But like, it's so good. I absolutely love this.
You're making me want
and
to
you said that
read it.
You said that Russ was raving about this too for making Paper Blood.
Yeah.
It's really good. And the way that they deal with like women's roles and like anything that you can think about like that we're dealing with, particularly in this exact moment in America right now, in terms of like gender politics, sexual politics, all those stuff. It's like this breath of fresh air to read a story where there's a world where everybody's accepted and everybody has value. And it's so lovely.
I want to read that now.
It's so lovely.
When is that out, or is it coming out soon?
It's out. It came out last week, I think. So it came out at the end of July. So it's now. Get it now.
I think if my library, if none of my library systems doesn't have, I'm going to request that they get a copy. That does sound really, really good.
It's really, really good. And it's the world I wish we lived in. And it's kind of set like a medievally kind of Renaissance feel. You know, there's horses and there is some sort of magic, but it's like a super light magic system. It's not heavy on the magic. It's much more heavy on like the people and the political stuff and the plot and stuff like that.
I'm into it. I'm definitely going to check that out with the library. Fingers crossed I can get my hands on that sometime this year.
That's all I have left of coffee.
Oh, that's a tragedy, hun. That's a tragedy. Before we get into today's topic, I don't know if you saw this, but
I forgot that we had a topic. It's taken so long to get to this exact point. I forgot that we had a reason to be here.
Let's tell the people. I'll quickly tell the people what happened before I tell you this one thing that I don't know if you know or not. So we started recording like 4 hours ago, and we were like almost 17 minutes into the episode, and then Alyssa's internet said, "You know what? Not today, ma'am. No. You will not record today. Guess what? You're going to just be out wondering if you're going to have internet service ever again in your life." And so we just been kind of waiting around, you know, and we had like, okay, well, let's get a backup date, you know, to record in case it doesn't come back, but it did. And now we just kind of had to find our rhythm, you know, so that's what happened. Thanks, Verizon, for nothing. No, just kidding. So
thank you for coming back.
Yes, thank you for coming back. Yeah. So you and I both talked about wanting to read Jonathan Franzen because we have three of his books, right? We have The Corrections, Freedom, and Crossroads, correct?
I don't have Crossroads. I haven't bought it yet because I only have Corrections and Freedom, and I don't want to buy any more Jonathan Franzen until I've read those two.
Okay, I bought Crossroads last year.
I've read one. I need to have read one.
Right. The only reason why I bought Crossroads last year was because I stumbled upon that 50% off hardcover sale for Barnes & Noble. That's why I have that. But I say this to say that I just saw an article that his book Freedom is being adapted for TV. So
now that it's being adapted for TV, you want to read it?
Yeah.
Together. Isn't Corrections are Corrections and Freedom together? Like, are they?
I didn't think so. I don't think
they're completely separate, right?
I think they're completely separate. Crossroads, however, is book one in a trilogy. So
maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I felt like either they were connected or they were. I don't know. Of course, now that I'm looking up at that, I'm also like, I need to read Till the Well Runs Dry. And this is what happens when I go look up at the shelves. I'm like, then I need to read.
But you know what? Now, I don't know if Freedom and the Corrections are connected or not, but they are standalone books, and I've just double checked that on Goodreads.
I could have totally made that up.
Yeah.
I make things up all the time.
As we do. So I just wanted to let you know, because I wasn't sure if you had read that or not.
So you would like me to read it?
Although, Daryl, and the friend of mine had on Bookstagram, he's got, what's his Bookstagram? D Sweet something. He's amazing. He told me that I should read Crossroads first and then read his other stuff. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
He said, I think you'll fall in love with Franzen if you read Crossroads and then go back. So anyway, that's just our little mini Franzen update. We've wanted to read him for a while because we've both owned Freedom and the Corrections for quite some time.
For a while.
Yeah. There's so many things, right?
I may have even unhauled Corrections and brought it back for $1 at the book bar.
I wouldn't like that's how long I think
I've had it. It pulled down my bicycle shorts here. They're up at my, like the top of them's coming up to my boobs. All right.
I found the Corrections and Freedom 3 years ago at 2 separate library book sales.
I definitely got Freedom from the library book barn.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And probably because you were like, you know what we should read? And I said, okay. And then I saw it and I was like, I'll get it. That's how this goes, in case you're wondering how books come into my life.
You're welcome.
Her. She is the reason. This one.
You are also the... Need I go through my shelves, ma'am? I'm like, okay, this was because of Alyssa, because of Alyssa, because of Alyssa, because of... I mean, come on. Come on.
You haven't read The Bronze Horseman yet, though.
Oh, but I'm going to, because that's part of my summer of romance. I have to get it in before summer's over.
Bitch, summer's almost over.
Don't remind me, okay? I'm having a hard time. Okay?
I'm not upset because summer and fall are my favorite times of the year. So I still have months to be happy.
That's true.
In November, I'll start to get upset again.
I haven't had one opportunity to go to the beach yet, and I am just like beside myself. I had no beach time last summer, and I haven't been to the beach yet this summer, and I am very upset about it. So I need to get it together.
So go to the beach.
I need to find the time, and everyone's schedule needs to match it. That's the problem. We all want to go together, but it's like anyway. It's a whole thing.
Loner life is the best life. Just do what you want. We're talking to everybody at work too, because everybody hates the shift that I work, and I'm like, no, I love my shift. I never have to really see anybody for a full 12 hours. I just I leave the floor, I go to different floors, I see different people. I kind of like I'm with myself for 12 hours. It's great.
That kind of sounds lovely. I mean, no complaints.
So yeah, right. People start getting dramatic. I'm like, peace out. I'm gonna go do a patient over in ICU. Goodbye. See you in a few hours. That sounds nice. That sounds like a problem. Okay, bye.
Right. I'm with it. Okay, all right. Well,
anyway, what are we here to discuss?
We're getting our groove back. We're getting to the main topic of today. August, which is Women in Translation Month, if you didn't know. One of our favorite months.
I actually have been really pumped, and for the last few weeks I've been trying to think of my TBR, and it's overly ambitious, and I will be...
Mine too!
And I will be doing a video for the channel on this too, so basically people are going to get this twice, so... I don't know. Sorry, not sorry. You're going to get this TBR twice.
Different audiences, right? Different audiences.
Yeah. Don't care. You're getting it twice.
I mean, I know that you like to build a shell of a TBR. Yeah. And I say that because you're not a strict hardcore, this is what I'm reading. And then you just boom. You kind of make a shell of a TBR. And that shell is very flexible. Mm-hmm. And I just picked what I feel like I'm going to be in the mood to read next month.
But I never know what I'm going to really be in the mood to read. So I pick a nice big, multi-dimension TBR so that I can go to my little like book cart. I stick it on my book cart, and if I want to read it, I pick it up and I read it, and then I get to the next thing and I read it. And if I don't want to read that, I read something else. And it's just like a nice place to go because this is overwhelming. This can be really overwhelming.
Yeah.
So it's nice for me to like pare it down into little, no, for me to pare it down into little nuggets. I did text my manager and ask her about that random cart at work. She didn't answer me. I said, this is a really random text message that I'm only sending to you on a Saturday because I don't want to forget.
Right.
But so
look, fingers crossed that you can get it. And hopefully she says, "Oh, well, listen, just take it."
So I mean, it's big, and I could it'd be fantastic. Like it would help me shelve my books.
Probably help you with all your Pango stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
well, my Pango's in an
episode. I would not have this stack of books here. This stack of books is because we're doing this episode. Otherwise, I would just go to the shelf like, what is it? What am I feeling today? What is it? This one? Okay, good. Let's go.
No, that's not how I do. I have to shelve so many books. Maybe a Monday I'll do that.
That's so funny.
But if I had that damn cart, I could alphabetize my stuff and then put them in the thing, alphabetize, which is what we're supposed to do. Blah, blah.
Yeah. All right, well, August, Women of Translation Month. I feel like last year we both had a really good Women of Translation Month.
We did. I really liked it. Yeah. I found Han Kang, and that made me really happy. Who else did I find? I found some other people last year that like I learned that I love Japanese literature. We found Mieko Kawakami.
Yeah.
Like
it was a good time.
We found some good stuff. Yeah.
So I'm extra thrilled this year.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, and this year we were smarter in remembering what was going on and actually chose a Women Translation book for our book club pick for the month of August.
Yes. Well, so do you want to talk about that one first?
Let's do it.
I have that in my pile.
So, we're going to be reading for our TBR Lowdown book club pick in August. We're going to be reading Elena Knows by Claudia Pinheiro. And this is translated from is it French?
It's Argentine. She's Argentinian.
Translated by Frances Riddle. And we've known about this book for quite some time, and we are very excited to be making this a pick and to finally be reading this book. This book was also longlisted for the International Booker Prize this year, so I'm sure there have been more eyes and more desire to read this book. And we're psyched. Should I read the inside a little bit for people?
I'm getting the books up so we can...
Okay, so here's a little bit of the synopsis. When Rita's body is found hanging in the belfry of the church she devoted herself to, the investigation is swiftly closed. But her mother, Elena, refuses to accept the police's version of what happened, and despite the physical limitations imposed by her illness, embarks on a journey to call in an old debt. Unfolding over a single day, Elena's arduous trek across Buenos Aires forces her to redefine everything she thought she knew about her relationship with her daughter, while confronting her with the ramifications of a fleeting encounter 20 years earlier. And I've heard nothing but good things about this book.
Yeah. And I believe our main character has like Parkinsons. Is that what she has? I think she has Parkinsons. So you're following this person as they unfold essentially a mystery, but they're also struggling with like all of the things that come from having Parkinsons, which is very debilitating. So it's supposed to be really, really interesting. And I think the character is kind of unlikable, but likable.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I've gotten the sense of. And that's kind of some of my favorite people are the ones that are like crotchety and you kind of like them anyway.
Yeah. Also, this book must be good because at the very first page, like I say, it's the winner of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different prizes. 7 different prizes.
And it's super short, which is nice.
Yeah.
Because that means we have room for other things.
Yeah. So this book is only 143 pages. Nice.
But it doesn't have an audiobook in English.
That's okay.
That's okay. It does have it in Spanish. So if you understand Spanish, you can get the audiobook.
There you go. But it's short. 20 pages a day will get you there. So this is our August book club pick. Elena knows. I'm so excited.
And we will have discussions of some sort for July, right?
Mm-hmm.
And July, and for obviously
June and
our
July.
June pick.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're working on something for June that
Mm-hmm.
will be a little different than normal, and we'll come up with a July discussion date soon.
Yes.
So if you guys didn't read Night of the Living Res, technically you still have a little time. So
yes,
you can hop on that. It's not very long. So
exactly. All right.
Shameless plug.
Very shameless. Yes. Let's get into it.
Do you want to go first with the non-communal book?
Yes.
I wonder if we do have any duplicates in here. We might, but keep going.
We may. Okay. So I'm going to start with one that I read earlier this year that I think I don't know about everyone, but okay. I read this earlier this year. This is another one of the Booker International long listed books. This is Paradise by Fernanda Melchor.
Oh, you really want me to read that? I need to read that.
Yes. And this is, what language is translated from? Spanish? I'm not sure. Translated by Sophie Hughes, but I'm not going to say this is for everyone. Although it is a fantastic book, but it is a very hard, very tough, very angry book. The language is hard, the situation is hard, the characters are hard. There's a lot going on here, and if you can't stomach a particular character daydreaming about raping a woman, taking advantage of a woman, harming a woman through his absolute obsession about a woman, it may bother you. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I just thought that what she did in this very tiny book was amazing. I really did. It was almost like watching a train like slowly just fall off the tracks, like off a cliff. That's what it felt like. Like we're chugging along, and then all of a sudden, like things are ramping up, and it's like the train is going, and then like it's just disaster town. Like it doesn't get better. But I just think
I'll probably like it because if it's questionable, I'll like it. Yeah,
you will.
But she's Mexican, by the way, so it's translated from Spanish. But I just looked it up for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Because we're also still doing 12 Women, 12 Countries. So if there are things that interest you that we talk about and they're from countries that you have not read from yet, pick them up.
Pick them up.
Add them to put them on your 12 Women, 12 Country board.
Yep.
And we can relink that little graphic if we want.
Yes.
If we can remember to the thing.
We'll put it all in
I have not read any of mine because this is my TBR. So I don't know if any of these are good from personal experience, but literally everything I've seen tells me they're supposed to knock my socks off. So we're just going to start at the very top here with this little baby book. So this is Self-Portrait in Green by Marie and something or other, Ndiaye. I don't know how to say an N next to a D and then basically a whole bunch of vowels. My brain doesn't know how to say that. Inde, something like that, maybe. She's French. This is like a memoir, but it's written. It's like a literary memoir that the thing that ties all these little stories together is that it's always about somebody in green. So there's all these random things that connect to green to spell out this sort of literary memoir. And when the person who I saw recommending this was talking about it, it gave me a lot of like in the dream house sort of vibes, the way it was being described, like using all of these other things as metaphors to lay out your life story. So I'm really excited to try this out, and she's super tiny. So I was hoping I could get to it while we were in DR, and I didn't. So, I mean, I can get to it now. So
interesting.
Self-Portrait in Green.
That's an interesting structure, right?
Yeah, it's like, so who are the women in green? They are fearless. One flings herself from a balcony. They are haunting. One comes to visit after hanging herself. They are seductive. One marries her best friend's father. And they are unbearably personal. One is the author's own mother. They are all aspects of the internationally celebrated writer Marie Inde. I may have said it wrong. Mysterious, honest, and unabashedly innovative. So it just sounds really interesting to read.
Very nice.
So that's my first one.
All right. My second one is also one that I read earlier this year for the International Booker, and that's Love in the Big City. And this is by Sang-Young Park, translated from the Korean by Anton Her. I really enjoyed this little debut novel. I enjoyed the friendship in this novel. You know how it is. You know, you have a really, your best friend in your 20s, and you're living it up, and just being young, dumb, and crazy in 20s. And then someone gets in a serious relationship. Someone gets married, and then they have this whole other life, but you're still kind of doing your party thing, and it kind of shows how friendships change and evolve, or sometimes just kind of stray forever. And I really enjoyed how the friendship was done in this book. So that is Love in the Big City.
Yeah, I have that on one of my many lists of things to get to at some point. So
yeah, I have an
I have an ebook of it, so I might get there. I know you don't do that, but I don't know what order this is in, but we'll just go with it. I have Cove Diddlespen's Child Youth Dependency, which I know you also really want to read.
Yes.
Again, this is like literary memoir. This is following one woman's journey from a troubled girlhood in working class Copenhagen through her struggle to live on her own terms. This is a seemingly honest, utterly immersive portrayal of love, friendship, art, ambition, and the terrible lure of addiction. It's supposed to be like dark but also like moving and wonderful. And this is the author is Danish, so we're looking for Denmark. Here you go.
Yes. Yeah.
And I like this cover. I know that there's the other one with like all the circles, and I think that one's really cute too, but I like this Penguin Modern Classics version. I don't know why.
I still want that other one. But
that
one is
nice
beautiful.
Too. That one's beautiful too, but there's just something about this that it feels very Penguin is what it is.
Yes.
Like I
like it. Okay, my third one is also one that I've read before and talked about on the show before, but again, I really highly recommend it, and it's Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung, translated by Anton Her. He translated 2 books that made it to the International Booker long list this year, which is quite the feat. And this is a collection of short stories, very creepy, very weird, very original. Highly recommend. Some of these I'm still thinking about. So if you want a nice short story collection, boom, here it is.
She poops on herself.
It's crazy, man.
That'll make sense if you listen to the other episode where she told us about the first story. Anyway, this just arrived today, thankfully. I'm very happy. So this is Violets by Kang Suk Shin, and this is translated from the Korean, and this is the other Violets book. You and I were talking about this.
Right.
There's 2 books that are titled Violets, and this one just came out. I think the other one came out just shortly before it.
I think so.
But they're like not too far apart, so like you're totally confused. And this is like it's not that much time in between. So anyway, so this is San is a 22-year-old alone when she happens upon a job at a flower shop in Seoul's bustling city center. Haunted by childhood rejection, she stumbles through life painfully vulnerable, stifled, and unsure. She barely registers to others, especially by the ruthless standards of 1990s South Korea. Over the course of one hazy, volatile summer, Sun meets a curious cast of characters: the non-speaking shop owner, a brash co-worker, kind farmers, and aggressive customers. Fueled by a quiet desperation to jumpstart her life, she plunges headfirst into obsession with a passing magazine photographer. So I don't know, it just sounded like fun, and I believe Books and Bao was raving about this one. So
I believe so.
So yeah, I had to pick it up, and I've been eyeing it for a while. I read like the first couple of pages on my Kindle, and it sounded good. So I picked it up.
I like it. All right. My next one is Amarita by Banana Yoshimoto. You read her for the first time last year,
I read
yeah?
Kitchen last year, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good. I just feel like it was kind of structured like Rest and Eggs is, where you have what are actually two short stories that are somewhat similar. They get shoved together. But I think that Rest and Eggs was more cohesive in that structure than Kitchen was. But Kitchen was still really good. It's just, it was a little jarring to go to the next story. You're like,
and this cover is interesting. And this is translated from the Japanese by Russell F. Walston. It says Amarita opens with the death of a celebrated young actress in mysterious and shocking circumstances. She leaves behind an unconventional extended family that includes an older sister, a woman in her 20s through whose eyes the story unfolds, a kid brother who possesses mystical powers, and a fiance who is writing a novel with uncanny parallels to the story he is living. Caught between history and hope, these three survivors embark on a journey that takes them through grief and suffering, memories lost and regained, forbidden romance, redemption, and recovery in a confrontation with the spirits of the dead on a remote island in the Pacific. It sounded interesting.
I think all of her books are really interesting. Like the premises sound really interesting, and they're very character driven. Like you get really good character development, which I like. So I do need to read more from Banana Yoshimoto. Yoshimoto,
Yoshimoto, I think, but
banana. All right, I can say banana. I next up, Fresh Water for Flowers by Valerie Perrin, again from France. This is a mystery. It's supposed to be phenomenal. My mother gives me all of her. My mom predominantly reads like mystery thriller, and she gives me all of her books. Like whenever she finishes them, I have so many. I will never read them all, but I'm trying to get more in the mix because we know that I mostly read like lit fic and fantasy, so I have to throw some more of these in. But this sounded really good, and she's always asking me, "Did you read the one with the flowers on it yet?" I said, "No, I didn't read the one with the flowers on it yet, so I'm gonna have to do that." And this is Violette Toussaint is a caretaker at a cemetery in a small town in Bourguignon. Her life is lived to the predictable rhythms of the often funny and always moving confidences that casual mourners, regular visitors, and sundry colleagues share with her. Violette's routine is disrupted one day by the arrival of Julien Sol, a police chief from out of town, who has come to scatter the ashes of his recently deceased mother on the gravesite of a complete stranger. It soon becomes clear that Julien's inexplicable gesture is intertwined with Violette's own complicated past. So,
yes.
What the hell does that mean? I don't know, but I want to know. So, Fresh Water for Flowers.
I love it. All right, next on the list is one of Alyssa's favorites, and that is The Vegetarian by Han Kang. Finally getting around to it. I know.
You've been reading a lot of really weird lit this year, and it makes me happy. And I think you're going to like this, because this is weird.
Yes, I'm ready for it.
Wonderfully weird. And there's like some body horror, so.
Yeah, and I've been holding on to this to read for this year's Women Translation Month. So I'm really looking forward to it. I wish I would have picked up the other one by her that you read last year as well, but I forgot.
Read two. Human Rights is really good.
Yeah.
And The White Book is really good. The White Book's like exercise. It's almost like a writing exercise, and everything that's discussed in it is white. Like it's just everything is like ruminating on different things in your world that are white, and then it creates this like cohesive story. Honestly, it's kind of like that other book I talked about. It sounds like The Self-Portrait in Green. It sounds like the same kind of writing exercise where you pick a color and sort of create a cohesive story around it. So
yeah. Well, I'll just read a little bit of the back. It says, before the nightmares began, Young Hai, does that sound right? And her husband lived an ordinary, controlled life, but the dreams, invasive images of blood and brutality, torture her, driving Young Hai to purge her mind and renounce eating meat altogether. That's enough for me. That's enough for me to just give me all the desire to want to read this.
And the plot's like kind of crazy. Like the character makes so many interesting choices. You'll have fun. It's good.
I like that.
You'll have fun. Finally, Tender is the Flesh.
Yay!
By Augustina Tarica. I don't know. This is also from Argentina. And this is kind of like horror. And I actually think this might be an interesting follow-up for, the vegetarian, because I think this has to do with an abattoir. His wife has left him. His father is sinking into dementia, and Marcos tries not to think too hard about how he makes a living. After all, it happens so quickly. First, it was reported that an infectious virus has made all animal meat poisonous to humans. Then governments initiated the transition. Now eating human meat, special meat, is legal. Marcos tries to stick to numbers, consignments, and processing. Then one day, he's given a gift, a live specimen of the finest quality. Though he's aware that any form of personal contact is forbidden on pain of death, little by little he starts to treat her like a human being, and soon he becomes tortured by what has been lost and what might still be saved. So, talk about not wanting to eat meat. Now we're eating each other. I can hear he's just talking to the dogs.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be like horrific in a way, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it, because I wanted to read that for quite some time.
Yeah, I finally got my hands on it, so I'm really excited.
Yes. Okay, my next one. This is also one that was recommended highly by Russell from Ink and Paper blog, and that is The Gustav Sonata by Rose Tremaine. And
I heard that one.
This is this translated? I thought it was. I don't remember. I don't know from what language. Maybe this is not translated. We have to put it to the side because I'm not sure. I may have gotten something confused. Let's move on with The Mandarins by, how do you say this last name? Is it Simone de Beauvoir?
Simone de Beauvoir.
Beauvoir. This is The Mandarins, and I love that cover. It's so like, I wanted to read her for a long time. So it says, hang on. Okay.
It's translated from French. It's translated.
In her, yes. In her most famous. In this book, she takes an unflinching look at Parisian intellectual society at the end of World War II. And fictionally depicting the lives of her circle, Jean-Paul Sartre, I don't know, Albert
Sartre.
Camus, Arthur Koestler, and her passionate love affair with Nelson Algren. She dissects the emotional and philosophical currents of her time. At once an engrossing drama and an intriguing political tale, The Mandarins is the emotional odyssey of a woman torn between her inner desires and her public life. Ooh, it sounds very like voyeuristic, and I'm here for it.
I read her latest novel, and I say latest because I know she's dead, but they published an unpublished book last year, I think, called The Inseparables, and it's a story she wrote that is very auto-fiction about her. It's about this girl and her schoolhood friend, and I guess she had a very similar relationship with her schoolhood friend. So, and it was really, really interesting. It was really interesting how she squeezed in. She does a lot of feminist and sort of societal and political commentary, and she squeezes that in to the framework of a narrative really beautifully, and it was really interesting. And I did listen to it, and there were a lot of footnotes throughout to make the context or give you context to what she's talking about, because there's people that we don't really know anymore. We're separated by, we're almost coming on 100 years, and it was really helpful because they actually just talked the footnotes into your brain, so I didn't have to flip back and forth, because I don't have a physical copy. I didn't have to flip back and forth in my ebook. They would just tell me this person is this person, or this is this thing that happened. So it gave you all the context clues so that you understood better the points she was making with these the commentary she was throwing in throughout the narrative. So it was, I want to read more from her. That's my long rambling way of saying I want to read more from her. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. I'm excited to get into it. Yeah.
And it's crazy how, for women at least, especially women of a certain social stratus, there were so many things that were expected of them at that time. and how many things, though they've changed, haven't changed. It's like we talk about this all the time. Like, so many things do change, but not really, like not in fundamentals. And it's interesting to read like old feminist literature, just like it's probably interesting to read like old abolitionist literature or old whatever, pick your thing, to see how far and how not far we've come at the same time.
Right. Like they say, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's really like you can really see how that statement makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That's why you got to read, people.
Yes.
So my next one is The Memory of Water, or Memory of Water, and this is translated from Finnish. That's right. It's Emi Saranta. I have no idea how to say Finnish names. In the north of the Scandinavian Union, now occupied by the power state of New Quain, 17-year-old Noria Kaitio studies to become a tea master like her father. It is a position that holds great responsibility and a dangerous secret. Tea masters alone know the location of hidden water sources, including the natural spring that once provided water for her whole village. When Nori's father dies, the secret of the spring reaches the new military commander, and the power of the army is vast indeed, but the precious water reserve is not the only forbidden knowledge Noria possesses, and the resistance is a fine line. Threatened with imprisonment and with her life at stake, Noria must make an excruciating, dangerous choice between knowledge and freedom. And like, look at that cover.
That sounds good.
Look at that cover.
It's
like, that's good.
That is a very dramatic face.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's very intense. There's something very intense about it. But that sounds good.
Yeah. Got this off Pango.
Right. Yay, Pango. All right. So I realize I have not read this very short novella by Mieko Kawakami, and that's Ms. Ice Sandwich. So I'm definitely going to read that this year. Cute little book. This one is published by Pushkin and not Europa. Interesting. And it's a different translator. This is translated by Louise Hill Kawai, because our other two books are translated by those two gentlemen.
Yeah.
So it says, Miss Ice Sandwich seems to lack social graces, but our young narrator is totally smitten with her. He is in awe of her aloofness, her skill at slipping sandwiches into bags, and most electric of all, her ice blue eyelids. Every day he is drawn to the supermarket just to watch her in action. But life has a way of interfering. There is his mother, forever distracted, who can tell the fortunes of women. His grandmother, silently dying, who listens to his heart, and his classmate, Tootie, no stranger to pain, who shares her private floating world with him. Sounds cute.
It does sound cute, and it'll go quick. Mm-hmm.
And
I have this little, it's like pocket size, magma. Yeah, magma. I always want to think it's, for some reason I always think the head is an eye, and I want to say imagma, but it's magma. Mm-hmm. And so I also got this from Pango. Yeah. So this is written by Thora, something I can't say because it's Icelandic, and Iceland is like one of like the biggest reading countries of the world, and I need to go to Iceland so badly. Yeah, they're like reading and writing, and like it's such a, I mean, what else are you gonna do? Everything's like 400 miles away, not 400 miles, but like everything's really spread out. It's cold. Like, what are you gonna do? Anyway, so like I need to go to Iceland, but so this one sounds really dramatic. Are you shocked? And dark. Are you shocked? 20-year-old Leisha is in love. As a university student, she was smitten with the intelligent, beautiful classmate who quotes Derrida, reads Latin, and cooks balanced vegetarian meals. Quickly, she moves in with him, living in his cramped apartment, surrounded by sour towels and flat Diet Cokes. As the newfound intimacy of sharing a shower and bed fuels her desire to please her partner, his quiet and pervasive manipulations start to unravel her. With clarity and restraint, the author sheds light on the undercurrents of violence that so often go undetected in romantic relationships. She deftly illustrates the failings of our culture in recognizing symptoms of cruelty, and in in powerful prose depicts the unspooling of a tender-hearted woman desperate to love well.
Yes,
I I like that this is dealing with that sort of more silent abuse that happens to many of us, that it's incredibly hard to get people to believe you about, because you don't have like physical manifestations, and it might not happen if it, the verbal pieces might not happen in public, and some things might be so small that like you don't really notice them till they all start to stack up on each other. And so like this sound like I might relate a little too much to it, but
I've seen that.
There's that potential.
Waiting to hear what you think about that. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on that one too. Yeah.
The books get like thicker eventually, just so you know. They've been quite tiny. They're going to get thicker soon.
Yeah, mine are a mix of everything, I think. Okay, my next one is it's the collected fiction of Lena Crone, and she is apparently one of Finland's most iconic writers. And so what I'm hoping is, because in this collection there are a number of completed novels and novellas, and then a number of short stories. So I'm hoping I can read one complete novel and one short story. So I have to let you know what I choose from. But I'm excited to check her out, since she's one of Finland's most iconic writers.
I would move to Finland.
I think this is volume 1. I believe she has another volume of collected work. Yeah. So I'm very excited to get into her.
God, that's like a lot of work. It's like when I read the Clarice Lispector. Like, I think that's just her short stories. I'm still looking for that complete.
I was going to ask you, did you ever find it in print?
No.
Okay.
Not yet. I may have to order it offline, but like, I want it. But I feel like she also has like books. So now I'm like, shit, now I need like other stuff. She's like, was prolific. And the really interesting thing about that collection of short stories, and I wonder if this is sort of the same, is since you have, I don't know if this author's still alive, the one that you're talking about. This was compiled after she passed. So you literally have like from her early writings to like her late almost dying. So you see this whole arc of just like the development of an author, and like
which is so amazing.
And they're put in here like sort of chronologically in that collection. It's such an interesting collection, and I'm going to keep like waxing on about how great it is. But, yeah, definitely another mini plug for a different book.
Right.
But anyway, the one I was going to talk about is My Pen is the Wing of a Bird, which is a collection of short stories by Afghani women. This is also from Books and Bow. And I don't know if it's out in the U.S. in print, but you can order it from Blackwell's Book Depository, all those places to get them from overseas. And I actually prefer this cover. I think this cover is banging. But this is like one of the first time that writings by Afghani women have been publicly distributed, especially outside of Afghanistan. I don't know if there's ever been anything in Afghanistan, but definitely going out into a broader audience. This is the first time. So I'm really excited to read these and listen to a voice that we don't get to hear. So
for sure,
really
for
excited.
Sure. That's exciting.
This is why I like translated fiction.
I know.
I need more translated fantasy. So if anybody wants to give me more of that, that would be great. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. I'm very excited about this next one because I've never heard of this author or this book. The book is Sin is a Puppy That Follows You Home. Please forgive me for trying to pronounce these names. A novel by Belaraba Ramat Yakuba, translated from the Hausa by Aliyu Karnal. Is that an R? I think so. It's very slim. And it's,
I want to get a dog and name it Sin. now.
Right? So, Sin is a Puppy That Follows You Home is an Islamic soap opera complete with polygamous households, virtuous women, scheming harlots, and black magic. It's the first full-length novel ever translated from Hausa into English. I'm very excited to read this.
That's interesting. And that it sounds like you have that much drama in a tiny little book. That
right?
I'm curious.
Right.
I'm very curious.
I'm so excited to get into this.
That's exciting. I like
this
that.
was one of my this came from one of my really, really, really deep internet searches. You know how I get.
I don't even know how I like find books. Like sometimes I just randomly see a cover and I'm like, what's that? And
right. Yeah.
Because I haven't read it yet. You have, and you already have one on the list, so I have to have one on the list, and that is All the Lovers in the Night by Miyako Kawakami. I haven't read it yet. It definitely has to happen in August.
Yes.
What is this even about? Does it matter? I don't care. Friendship does not come easily to Fukyo Iri. In her 30s, she works as a freelance copy editor and lives alone. Her most frequent interactions are with her manager, Hijuri, a woman with a very different disposition whose motives are often unclear. One day, Fukio stops in the middle of a Tokyo street, transfixed by her reflection in a storefront window. The woman she sees looking back at her is drab, spiritless, inert. She decides she must take steps to transform her life, but as she sets about doing so, events from her past begin to resurface, and her isolation seems increasingly irreversible and complete.
It's just so good. It's about alcoholism, loneliness, friendship. It's just, oh God, it's so good.
I need the other books though, because I don't have any of her other books like physically.
Wait a minute.
We need to work on that.
Whoa.
You picked up a copy, but you didn't get it and you didn't send it to me. Do you remember
Which one?
Breast and Eggs. Remember when you found an extra Breast and Eggs?
Oh, why didn't I get it?
I don't know.
I thought you had it.
You probably did.
Daggone it. Now I'm mad.
Because I never see that book. Thrift them. Yeah.
I never see them.
Well, now you know if you ever thrift them again, your girl needs. I will Venmo.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I need all of her books in the other cover style. In the paperback.
Yeah, I like the paperback covers better.
Now I need those too. I'm obsessed with her. I think everyone knows it. It's fine. It's fine.
Breast and Eggs, I feel like, especially Eggs, like I related a little too hard to that story. And I don't know if I could fully articulate in a public sphere all the reasons why I related to that.
Yeah.
Because it was so, I don't know, it's so good. Just read it. It's like, she is so good at characters. I think, like, there's a plot, but like her, like, you get these characters.
Yeah.
So, she's so good. She's so good.
I think that she's amazing at getting to the interior of a character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she really throws you inside the character, and it is moving. Mm-hmm. It's astounding what she can do. She
is something
watching
else.
Someone like her as she just like continues to grow in her career is really something special to watch. Truly,
I feel like she's like, to me, like she's kind of like Sally Rooney to me. Like, they don't write the same stories, but they write about these very interior pieces of people in such wonderfully beautiful and easy to connect with ways that you just kind of you can't help but be transfixed while reading them, and you just read the book, like you just eat it, like,
dagnabbit, I've got to read me a Rooney. I have to read me a Rooney because I need to know why you love a Rooney so much, and now I got to read me a Rooney. I got to read me a Rooney.
It scares me so much you reading Sally Rooney though, because you're going to be like, well.
Tell me which one I should get from the library.
I would read her most recent. I think that it is the most like something that you're going to love because
and that's The Beautiful World. Where Are You?
Yeah, she pairs the whole like back and forth romantic will they won't they fucked up relationship stuff with these just almost like essays on current events and arts and literature and politics and all these other things.
Okay.
It's really
all right, then I'm gonna get that one then for my library.
It's well balanced and it's really good. So that's the one I recommend, woman.
Okay. All right. My next one is The Barefoot Woman by Scholastique Mukasanga, translated from the French by Jordan Stump. Look at this cute little book. It's so tiny.
It is cute.
So it is. So it says, the barefoot woman, loving, funny, devastating tribute to her mother, Stefania, a tireless protector of her children, a keeper of Rwanda tradition, even in the cruelest and bleakest of exiles, a sage, a wit, and in the end, a victim, like almost the entire family of the Rwandan genocide. But it's also a wry, sharp-eyed portrait of the world her mother lived in, from its humblest commonplaces, beer bred to its deepest horrors, rape, murder, unimaginable loss. In a telling both affectionate and haunted, Mukasanga sinks her feet into this dense land of stories. Each step, each verse of her careful lament carries both the weight of her mourning and the fortitude of the myriad silenced voices she speaks for. This is also another really short one. So really looking forward to that.
Have you noticed how many really short translated fictions there are? I wonder what that is.
Yeah.
About.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my next one is sorry, I'm pulling up some other stuff somewhere. I get distracted when we talk about books, like do things. Is The Phone Booth at the Edge of the World, which is actually translated from the Italian, even though it is sort of Japanese inspired because our author lived in Japan for quite a long time. And this is sort of about grief. When the character loses her mother and daughter in the tsunami, she wonders how she will ever carry on, and begins to mark time in relation to that terrible day in 2011. Yet in the face of this unthinkable loss, her life must somehow continue. One day at work, as the host of a call-in radio program, she hears a story about a man on Whale Mountain, one of the places worst hit by the tsunami. Was an old telephone booth in his garden with a disconnected phone inside. As news of the phone booth and its wind phone spreads, people start coming from miles around to speak to loved ones, finding comfort and sharing the details of their daily lives with those they have lost. But when Yui, numb with grief, I probably said her name wrong, I'm sorry, makes her own pilgrimage, she can't bring herself to pick up the receiver. Then she meets Takashi, a widower whose own daughter has stopped talking in the wake of her mother's death. It's inspired by true events, and it's about, longing, loss, grief, coming to terms with it. And just I've been wanting to read it for a really long time. It's been out for a couple years now, and I finally found a copy on Pango. So everybody who gets books from me from Pango, thank you for giving me more Pango bucks to buy more books, because that's all that happens.
All right, now we're going down into Ferrante land. All right, get ready for it. That's right.
We're going to be here a while, folks.
I definitely want to read Elena Ferrante's The Lying Life of Adults.
Yes, I have that.
Came out last year, right? Came out last year.
See, I never put a Ferrante on there because do we know that she's a woman?
She says she's a woman.
Or identifies as a woman. I mean, she's identifying herself as a woman, but we don't know who Elena Ferrante is.
Doesn't matter. This person is going by Elena Ferrante. So I'm just going to believe it. I'm just going to believe it.
A big bearded dude named Carl.
Oh, not Carl.
Carl.
Could be. But, I mean, sidebar, I do think it's fascinating how this author has remained her anonymity in it. Although somebody has to know, like...
somebody knows. It's just not
Neapolitan series has been adapted to TV. Like, I'm sure people know. But it's amazing, though, that they've kept the secret, I guess is what I really want to say. It's amazing that the people that know haven't, like, outed Elena.
I think sometimes those kinds of secrets stay because you almost don't want to know. Like, there's... Like, you want to hunt for it, you do want to know the answer, but part of you doesn't really want to uncover the real truth because the fun is kind of not knowing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Anyway, whoever the hell Elena Ferrante is, Elena can frickin' write, and I'm in love, and that's all I can say. So it says Giovanna's pretty face has changed. It's turning into face of an ugly, spiteful adolescent. But is she seeing things as they really are? Where must she look to find her true reflection and a life she can claim as her own? Giovanna's search takes her to two kindred cities that fear and detest one another: the Naples of the heights, which assumes a mask of refinement, and the Naples of the depths, a place of excess and vulgarity. Adrift she vacillates between these two cities, falling into one, then climbing back to the other, but neither city seems to offer her any answers. So I'm definitely going to get into this. I've been holding off from August to read it.
All right. What do I have? Okay. And I just pre-ordered volume 2, but Lady Joker by Kaoru Takamura, and I believe this is Japanese. Yeah, this is like a Japanese crime fiction, and it's supposed to be, I believe it's from like the 90s, if I'm not, or set in the 90s. It's set in Tokyo in the 90s. It's supposed to be just absolutely like the creme de la creme of Japanese crime fiction. So I have to read it. And let's see, her debut won the 1990 Japan Mystery and Suspense Grand Prize. She has a well loved and apparently talented crime writer in Japan, and I need to read this. And this is her English language debut. So Tokyo,
read it last because I want to order it and read it with you.
Okay. Tokyo, 1995. And the volume 2 comes out in fall sometime.
Okay.
September, October, something like that.
Okay.
Tokyo, 1995. 5 men meet at the racetrack every Sunday to bet on horses. To beat on horses, that would be bad too. They have little in common except a deep disaffection with their lives, but together they represent the social struggles and griefs of post-war Japan. A poorly socialized genius stuck working as a welder, a demoted detective with a chip on his shoulder, a Zainichi Korean banker sick of being ostracized for his ethnicity, a struggling single dad of a teenage girl with Down syndrome. The fifth man bringing them all together is an elderly drugstore owner grieving for his grandson who has died suspiciously. Intent on revenge against a society that values corporate behemoths more than human life, the 5 conspirators decide to carry out a heist, kidnap the CEO of Japanese largest beer conglomerate, and extract blood money from the company's corrupt financiers. Inspired by the unsolved true crime kidnapping case perpetuated by the monster with 21 faces, Lady Joker has become a cultural touchstone since its 1997 publication.
Yes.
And it's the magnum
opus.
It is the magnum opus.
I like it.
Like this is Japanese crime literature. So
that's why I'm excited. Don't leave it. I'm going to order it on Friday.
I fucking love this cover. Like you have no idea how much I love this.
But so is the other one. They're both good.
Yeah, so I can't wait for the for volume 2, but this is volume 1. And like look at like this is, and I mean these aren't like it's not like huge font, but it's not super tiny. Like this is a lot. So
yeah. Okay, how many more books do you have?
Uno. Well, physical, and then I can go into ones I don't have physically that I want to read.
Because my next one is a series, and then I'm done.
Okay, so we'll be done with my next one.
Okay. So my last one is Elena Ferrante's Neapolitan novels. It's 4 books in a series. Mm-hmm. My Brilliant Friend, The Story of a New Name, Those Who Leave and Those Who Stay, and The Story of the Lost Child. So that's these. Now, last year I did read book 1, My Beautiful Friend. I loved it. But again, this was last year, so I would like to read this again and then follow up with the rest of the novels in this series. I'm very excited to read it because I also would love to start the show and check that out. So, boom. tackling that. And you have them, don't you?
I do. I was just looking up at them.
You
I may have to start them soon, but maybe not in August. We'll have to see how August goes. So
yeah, I have to. I've waited a long time to finish this, and I got to get to it.
So my last one is something that I really want to try to tackle, and I think August 1st I'm going to start it. And then because I'm going to start it, I don't know how many other things I'm going to get through, but the
yes!
By Nino Haratish. I can't say that name. I don't know if this is translated from Georgian or from German because she writes in 2 languages.
Mm-hmm.
It could be translated from a third that I don't even know about. But anyway, it's translated, and it's like an epic, size of my face family saga. Mm-hmm. Something to do with chocolate. We've talked about it before on this channel. Mm-hmm. And I need to finally get to this. It's one of Naomi's favorites. And
it's so good.
It's apparently an unforgettable love letter to Georgia and the Caucasus, to lives led and to come, and to writing itself, which just sounds really good. And so,
I mean, it's hella long, but it's just you know what? It's like the historian, where the historian's hella long, but you just want to just keep digging into it. You don't want to leave it. That's how I felt with The Eighth Life.
I hope so, because I've heard a lot of people say that, but I've had a couple people be like, absolutely not. I could not. And I really hope I don't go there, because this is a big book to be like slogging through.
Well, let me start over and
if it becomes a slog, I might DNF it.
Like the historian is very dense. Some people don't like a dense. I like a dense read if it's written well.
Yeah, I just go. You're like. So remember when we read By Gaslight, which is like a huge sweeping saga, like
which
huge,
I love that you were like, I'm done.
You did. I was like, I don't understand why we needed it to be like this. This is no. So sometimes it's fine with me. Like I feel like East of Eden is like that, and I never felt that feeling, and I did with By Gaslight. So I feel like those two are like my I need books, family sagas, to be more East of Eden and less By Gaslight.
Right.
For me to stay engaged.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like you're going to like The Eighth Life. I
probably will, but I'm just saying, don't be surprised if
I won't be.
Because it's a family saga.
I'm just happy that you got it and you're going to finally start it.
I will.
So that's what I'm happy about.
I will. Yay! And I will. Yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say.
I need to get a copy from my shelves because I had got that from the library last year.
Well, if I DNF it, you can have mine.
I'm holding out hope. I hope you don't. I hope you love it. So. And let me just say, like, the chocolate is not like a big part of this.
I didn't expect it to be. I expected it to be like the thing that sort of cohesively threads through a story.
Yeah.
But anyway. So, do you have a book recommendation?
Yes. So I finished
book recommendations in this entire podcast.
Right? Look, now
2 hours later.
Plenty of recs. You have plenty of recs for Warner Translation Month and for our year-long reading challenge, 12 Women, 12 Countries. Of course, all of these will be in our bookshop store, which will also be linked on our show notes for this episode. So you have plenty of things to choose from. And also take a look at in our bookshop store of our Warner Translation list from 2021 for even more recommendations. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I recently finished The Last White Man by Mohsin Hamid. He's the author of Exit West, which I never read, so I don't,
I have Exit West, but I haven't read it yet. It's supposed to be amazing.
Oh, I heard that. Very short little novella. I thought this was like a full-length novel until I got it, and then I was like, oh, it's a novella. That's cool. So...
Is that out yet?
Bookmark. No, this comes out Monday. No, I'm sorry. This comes out Tuesday, August 2nd.
Oh, it's almost out.
Mm-hmm. Well, by the time this episode comes up, it will be out.
Yeah, but while we're recording it.
Yeah. So it says, one morning a man wakes up to find himself transformed. Overnight, Anders' skin has turned dark, and the reflection in the mirror seems a stranger to him. At first, he shares this secret only with Una, an old friend, newly a lover. Soon, reports of similar events begin to surface. Across the land, people are awakening in new incarnations, uncertain how their neighbors, friends, and family will greet them. Some see the transformation as the long dreaded overturning of the established order, to be resisted to a bitter end. And many, like Anders' father and Una's mother, a sense of profound loss and unease wars with profound love. As the bond between Anders and Una deepens, change takes on a different shading. A chance at a kind of rebirth, an opportunity to see ourselves face to face anew. This was such an interesting and original feeling book.
It definitely sounds like crazy. Like I like the concept. It sounds very interesting.
Crazy. It was crazy, and I loved every minute of it. So, there certain parts, like when Anders wakes up and he's a dark man now, and as we're like going through his thoughts over the hours and days, he says some things that like really resonated with me, like crazy. So wait, there's this one, because it talks about fear, and it just brings up a lot of questions, as like, now that you have kind of transformed into like a darker person, are you now also like, are feelings developing within you of a dark person as well? Some of our thoughts and some of our like daily constant fears. So like in this one part it says, and this is when he was like walking down the street, okay? And he like had his hoodie on, like he's trying to hide himself, because at this point he hadn't told anyone what happened to him. And so it says, Anders was not sure where his sense of threat was coming from, but it was there. It was strong. And I was like, is he now like encompassing like actual feelings of a darker person? So lots of little lines like that make you question, is it even more than just the changing of the color of their skin? And so, he's the only one for a while, but like slowly but surely,
other
person
people
after person are being transformed as well. And so Una, his friend, new lover, she does not transform right away, but her mother, the way her mother's written, it seems like, she goes into the bowels of the internet with those certain groups of people who are like, we must resist, and basically they're coming to get us, we must protect ourselves, and she's terrified of that this is happening. And so Una, on the other hand, is kind of ready for the change. She in one scene, she buys makeup and just like paints herself darker, and goes to dinner downstairs with her mother, and her mother is just like disgusted by it and like completely alarmed. And Una's looking at it like, well, let me just see what it looks and feels like before it actually happens. So like Una's embracing that it's going to happen to her, while her mother is revolting, and she's like, we're going to war. We're going to where she's disgusted. She can't believe it's happening. She fears it's going to happen to her daughter. She goes on about like, what about, the white inheritance? I mean, it gets real crazy and real deep. Real deep.
Sounds really interesting.
Yeah. And so where Anders' father, where he's uncomfortable with the transformation, you can tell that for him, it's the love that conquers all. He loves his son no matter what, even though it's off-putting to look at his son in this darker form. But still, he loves his son. He's going to protect the son to the bitter end. So it was really interesting seeing how these two parents viewed the situation so differently and how they treated their children. It was just an astounding book. I mean, so short, but so impactful. Impactful.
The topic sounds like if you did this right, you could really knock it out of the park and make some really wonderful, insightful statements, observations, et cetera, or you could do it really terribly and just put your foot in it. And it doesn't sound like he did that from what you're saying.
Yeah, because let me read you this one part from the mother. So this is when she was like online in all her little groups, and she was having this thought like, but there were those among them who would stand up and protect her, and she had to believe in them and be ready as best she could to preserve herself and especially her daughter. It was just, it's an incredible read. You for sure would love every page of this book.
I think I have it on hold at my library or something like that. Like I'm in line already for it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know that I could even do that on my Libby app. It's never come up before when I've looked for books that haven't been published yet. But like they must
do every now and then.
They must already have copies on pre-order because they knew this was going to be a biggie. So
for sure,
and like
you're
my
gonna
little library,
really enjoy it.
Not New York Public Library, my little baby library. So
yeah.
All right. Slightly different book. The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin. I just finished this in July, and it's an older book. We got it at McKay's, and I had just found it really interesting. I can't remember what her name is, but there's that like really cute younger girl. She's got like cat on. Do you know that younger girl Cat? She talks really fast on YouTube. She's got like curly hair. She's skinny, glasses, sometimes not glasses. Anyway, she's like probably like 22 years old. She's really engaging and kind of quirky. And I think she and her sister sometimes do episodes together where they'll both talk about books that they love. And her sister really liked this. And I was like, well, that sounds really interesting. So the really basic idea is like, one, would you want to know when you're going to die? Two, what would happen if you knew when you were going to die? Like, so these four siblings who are growing up, they're Jewish and they're growing up in New York. Their dad is a tailor and their mom, I believe, just stays home. But they're like a pretty typical Jewish New York family. And in the 70s, they go and they see this lady who is supposed to be able to tell you when you're going to die. And it's like a very strange little like experience going and seeing this lady. And they all get told something different. And they don't really, I think two of them share with each other sort of what they found out, but none of them really share anything with each other. And then from there, you follow each sibling and you see how this knowledge has influenced the choices they've made in their lives. Like the one son, there's two boys and two girls, and like the one son just decides that he doesn't want to follow in his dad's footsteps. He's queer and he wants to experience life. He wants to go to San Francisco. He wants to be himself. And he can do that in San Francisco. And he goes with one of his other sisters who also kind of has this like zest to not follow like the set path by her parents. She wants to be her own person. So they both go together and they start these lives, and you see like how their lives unfold till their end point. And then you see the other two siblings unfold till their end point. Obviously one sibling lives longer than all the other ones. So you see how the effects of each sibling's passing influences the ones that remained down to the final one. And it's just, you go from like the 70s to like today ish. So you see this whole timeline of different things that have happened in society, from like the AIDS epidemic to other things. And it is really good. And I will say, like, if you're reading this or you've read it and you only got a few chapters in and you were like, keep going. Cause like once you get into like the actual story of the first sibling, and it starts to really take shape, I feel like from there it just like took off and you were like, I need to know what's happening. And they have like really crazy and interesting lives. And they do like some really interesting and amazing things, but there's like trauma associated with knowing this. And you have like one sibling in particular is fighting so hard to not believe that this is their date. And you kind of think that they're gonna escape it and they're gonna break whatever this is, and they don't. And you're like, you kind of know that they're not gonna, but you kind of really hope that they are, because you don't want it to be like something that's real. But you never really know if like, did they really did this person really know that they were going to die on each of these days, or did they kind of sort of put it into existence and make it happen themselves? So it's really, really good book.
It sounds kind of deep.
It's kind of deep and it's kind of beautiful, but it's not written in like a super deep way. But like when you step away from it, like it is kind of really deep, and it's kind of interesting to see how family dynamics change and how, like, I don't know, how your like your own personal dynamics of who you are as a person change, and how you develop relationships or don't develop relationships with other people, knowing that you're not, like, actually knowing how fleeting life is. What do you do with it?
Yeah. Now, when I first
read it high.
became aware of Bookstagram, I was no. I'm sorry. Back up. When I first became aware of BookTube a few years ago, that book was talked about a lot, and I don't recall hearing anything bad about that book ever.
I think there are some people who, in more recent years, have not jived with it as well, because you know how that happens sometimes when things first come out. Everybody loves it, and then you give it a few years, and you're like, well. But
I don't even know when it came out. I wasn't sure at that point if it was a new release they were talking about or if it was backlist. I just remember
2018.
That was one of the. Okay, so it had been out for a year when I was watching the videos and seeing that book being talked about a lot. Okay, it sounds really good.
Isn't it crazy how, like, we randomly met each other just for a little, like, nostalgic sidebar? Like, we randomly started to, like, follow each other on Instagram, and now look at us. Just two random strangers on the internet. Do you remember when, like, the internet started and everybody was like, don't tell people, talk to people, don't tell people where you live.
Don't make friends on the internet.
Don't say you're not home because they're going to rob your house. And I'm like, hey, bitch, you want to go book shopping? I'm going to drive down. These kids today, they don't understand.
All started with following each other, liking each other's posts, and then sending each other little messages about books, about libraries, and then that was that.
Stuck with each other.
That was it. You know,
that is our bookish romance.
It is. It is. It was great. It was great. I loved it.
Look at us now.
Look at us now, giving y'all all the bookish content, just putting our friendship right on Front Street, right there for all of you.
We're like, yeah, bitches, we friends.
This was fun. I missed recording. I really did. This was
Me
really
too,
fun. Wow, we've been going for an hour and 21 minutes.
This is like a 2-hour episode. I'm sorry, everybody, but I'm also not sorry. Welcome back. You're gonna hate me because I'm picking off this label, and also I think I slurped on my straw for my coffee, but. Welcome back to editing.
Welcome back. I know we have so much editing to do. Anyway, we're happy to be back for season 2. Tell a friend, subscribe, leave a review, all that good stuff. Let us know if you want us to talk about certain things, talk about certain books. Let us know. Oh, also, everyone, don't forget that our big classic read of the year is Anna Karenina, which we'll be talking about towards the end of this year. I am not going to start that book until September.
Well, technically, I've already started it, so I'm not going to pick it back up till September. So,
right.
I think I remember enough of what's going on that I can just pick up where I was. Like, I don't need to go back. I get it. I know what happened. Bitch is pregnant. I got it. No, big spoiler. Right. She gets pregnant.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, so I'm going to start in September with the hopes of finishing, sometime that month or early October. So, just to know there's still time to get in on that with us so that you can be a part of the discussion.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Naomi will get me back in on Discord because somehow I
was going to ask what happened to your other account. I was like, I'm not asking her. I'm not asking her.
I know. Me and Discord, man, we just, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Some things are too technical for me. It's like when I tried to figure out Twitch, I was like, what the fuck is
this? Yeah, we did try Twitch for a while, but it wasn't the right medium for us.
No.
For the simple fact that it doesn't say videos. You can say video highlights, but not full videos.
Yeah.
So like,
no, we're not important enough to get full videos. Anyway.
Yeah, we don't do that. Anyway, that's gonna do it for us for this episode. First episode back for season 2. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Oh, you kept going.